This man wasn't called the God of Slaughter for nothing. Su Ming had just cleared the world's oldest S-rank dungeon, Death's Den. After taking down God-tier aberrant beasts deep inside, he finally stepped out, completely exhausted and worn out. The moment he appeared, he noticed something was off. A group of warriors stood nearby, watching him far too closely. Their eyes stayed locked on him as they made their demand clear. They wanted the artifact he had obtained from the dungeon. What surprised Su Ming wasn't their greed, but their confidence. They knew exactly who he was, yet they still told him to prepare for death. As they spoke, the pieces quickly fell into place. This wasn't a random ambush. It had been carefully arranged by Jiang Xuan, someone Su Ming had once trusted and teamed up with since the day they awakened. Jiang's plan was simple and ruthless. He wanted Su Ming stripped of his power and robbed of everything he had gained. The realization hit hard, and Su Ming's anger surfaced immediately. He told Jiang and his men that if they wanted the artifact, they could come and take it themselves. With that, he revealed the divine ring of defiance, letting its power surge through him. The warriors noticed the shift right away. They prepared to rush him, but Jiang raised a hand and stopped them, saying the plan wasn't finished yet. Everything was unfolding exactly as intended. That was when Ren Xiaoman appeared from the sky. Su Ming didn't expect to see her there. She rushed over and hugged him, saying she had heard someone was plotting against him, and came to help. Su Ming calmly told her not to worry. With a divine artifact in his possession, he believed no one there could truly threaten him. Still, one question had been bothering him. He asked how Jiang and the others had managed to find his location so precisely. Ren answered him without hesitation, by stabbing him in the abdomen. She coldly told him she was the one who had sold him out. Shocked, Su Ming demanded to know why she had turned against him. Before she could say more, Ren activated a spell. Jiang laughed and declared that everything was complete. He ordered her to activate the prison formation. Ren immediately moved to Jiang's side as chains burst forth from Su Ming's wound, binding him in place. In that instant, Su Ming understood that Ren had betrayed him long ago and had been working with Jiang all along, waiting for this exact moment to seize the artifact. Realizing he had only been a tool for their ambitions, he cursed them. Without hesitation, the warriors rushed in, intent on finishing him off and claiming the ring. Suddenly, skeletal figures emerged from the ground, blocking the attacks. A woman named Ji Yao stepped forward and shouted for them to stop. She told Su Ming not to give up. Jiang sneered when he saw her and said she was throwing her life away, insisting that no one could survive against the number of masters present. As the fighting escalated, Jiang drew his blade and struck Yao. Su Ming cried out as she collapsed. When Jiang moved in to deal the final blow to Su Ming grabbed the chains binding him, enduring the pain as he shattered them through sheer force. Those watching were stunned as he unleashed a divine-level technique made possible only by the artifact. Su Ming rushed to Yao's side and asked why she had come, even after all the times he had disappointed her. Weakly, she reached up and told him that if he was going to die, then she would die alongside him. Holding her, Su Ming declared to everyone present that he swore on his title as the God of Slaughter to hunt them all down if he were ever reborn. As he retreated toward Death's Den, the others panicked and tried to stop him from taking the artifact away. Instead, Su Ming removed the ring and threw it aside before leaping back into the dungeon with Yao in his arms. Later, he regained awareness and wondered if he was dead, only to find himself inside the academy. Even more shocking, he was standing at the 127th awakening ceremony. 18-year-olds were being called up one by one, their futures decided by the results of their awakening. Su Ming looked around, recognizing every detail. Everything felt real. He realized he had returned to the age of 18. As the ceremony unfolded exactly as he remembered, he smiled, relieved to know he had truly been reborn. Memories of betrayal surfaced in his mind, just as Jiang Xuan completed his awakening as a magic hammer warrior. With an 8-star innate attribute, Jiang was immediately celebrated by the students, many praising his background and talent. Su Ming simply watched him coldly. Ji Yao soon appeared and told Su Ming she had been searching for him. He stared at her, surprised, and she asked if something was wrong with her face. He told her he was congratulating her in advance, and added that he was glad to see her again. Before she could ask more, her name was called. When Yao touched the heavenly steel, it revealed that she had awakened a hidden profession, necromancer, 7-star level. The crowd was stunned. 2 hidden profession awakeners in the same group felt almost excessive. Finally, Su Ming was called forward. As he walked toward the steel, his classmates whispered that there was no way an orphan like him could become a 3rd hidden awakener. In the nation of Blue Star, awakenings had become a defining moment ever since the first generation decades ago. Those who awakened became elites, gaining power, wealth, and authority, but also facing brutal dungeons and deadly beasts. In his previous life, Su Ming had awakened as the god of slaughter despite growing up on aid and scholarship. Now, standing before the steel again, he expected to prove himself once more. When he touched it, the steel reacted violently, making everyone think a 9-star profession was about to appear. Instead, the divine ring of defiance emerged from the steel itself. Su Ming caught it and realized the artifact had followed him through time. A status window appeared, labeling him as the strongest beast slayer, with a mythical profession known as Sword God. The crowd buzzed with confusion, unsure what profession he had received. Jiang wondered why Su Ming wasn't moving at all. As Su Ming examined the window, he noticed something unexpected. His profession had changed. He scanned his fingerprint and saw his golden talent listed as sublimation of all things. His potential far surpassed his previous life. However, when he checked his skills, the list was empty. As he attempted to interact with the system, impatience grew among the onlookers. The system finally responded, scanning the ring of defiance. A burst of light shot into the sky, and everyone saw the result. Su Ming was star level 10. However, his final assigned profession was sword controller. The crowd was stunned. A 10-star level was unheard of, but sword controller was considered a low-tier profession. When Su Ming returned, his classmates mocked him, saying he would need twice the effort to keep up with others and would likely end up as nothing more than support in combat. Yao, however, smiled and congratulated him sincerely, calling his talent incredible and saying she believed he would grow strong regardless. Su Ming thanked her and told her that the others reacting the way they did was exactly what he wanted. She didn't understand what he meant. Soon after, Ren was called to awaken, drawing cheers from the crowd. Yao admired her, calling her the school's beauty, while everyone eagerly awaited her result. Su Ming quietly walked away, saying he wasn't interested. The memory of Ren betraying him without hesitation still lingered. As he left, he reminded himself that revenge would come. Walking through the streets, he noticed everything was the same as he remembered, except for his new profession. Checking his status window again, he found his concealment skill, one of the 4 skills from his previous life, had returned at level 1. With his past abilities now slowly resurfacing, Su Ming decided he would keep his true strength hidden this time, determined never to be used again. Based on how things had unfolded before, Su Ming expected a novice dungeon challenge to appear the very next day. He already knew it would be easy for him. Still, he also remembered that a specific boss had to be taken down during that event, and that meant he needed proper equipment. Elsewhere, Ren was staying with Jiang in a hotel suite. She teased him, saying he was being playful for inviting her over right after the awakening ceremony. Jiang, however, was clearly irritated. He complained that Su Ming had stolen all the attention at the ceremony because of his star level. Ren quickly soothed him and said it didn't matter. She pointed out that Su Ming's high stats meant he could still be useful to them later on. To prove her point, she showed Jiang her phone, reminding him that Su Ming used to like her. With a smile, she typed out a message she planned to send, intending to pull Su Ming back into working with her. At the same time, Su Ming arrived at an equipment store in the city. He noticed students from nearby schools browsing the shop, which told him they had also just completed their awakening ceremonies. While looking around, he overheard a group excitedly discussing the Tyrant Frigid Sword, a pricey diamond-grade weapon rumored to freeze monsters. As Su Ming walked past them, he quietly found it amusing, knowing from past experience that the sword was actually a fake. Before he could move on, a woman named Zhang Lan from the Zhang conglomerate approached him and introduced herself, claiming she knew him. Su Ming couldn't place her at all and said so directly. Lan didn't mind and explained that she wanted him to help her sister, Zhang Yuning, during the upcoming novice dungeon. To her surprise, Su Ming declined without hesitation. Lan reminded him that he wasn't exactly wealthy and said she could cover the cost of any equipment he wanted. In response, Su Ming calmly pointed to a frosty sky sword priced at 1 million advent coins. Lan frowned and said he was making things difficult, questioning whether he was worth that price. Su Ming reminded her that she was the one who had promised to meet his request. He then added that some situations couldn't be solved with money alone and said Yuning would need to give it her all during the dungeon test. Lan's guard nearly stepped in, but she stopped him and left. The people nearby were left stunned by how boldly Su Ming had handled the situation. Soon after, Su Ming received a message from Rin. She claimed she had a change of heart and wanted to meet him on the rooftop. Seeing that events were still unfolding exactly as they had before, Su Ming accepted the invitation. After that, he moved to another section of the store that sold sword stones. It was widely known that most sword stones were worthless scraps and rarely turned into graded weapons. A store assistant tried to warn him, but Su Ming said he was fine taking the risk since the stones were cheap. Using one of his skills, Eye of Intent, Su Ming examined the stones one by one. The skill allowed him to see fundamental details hidden from ordinary people. Eventually, he found the one he wanted and bought it for just 50 advent coins. Yongding, a wealthy troublemaker, and his lackey noticed what Su Ming was doing and mocked him for turning down the Zhang conglomerate's offer just to buy a scrap stone. Su Ming decided to test them and proposed a wager of 5,000 advent coins, betting that he could extract a silver weapon. They laughed it off, saying he must be out of his mind, but still agreed. Seizing the moment, Su Ming activated his Eye of Insight and drew out the weapon hidden within the stone. To everyone's shock, a black iron crimson edge sword appeared, a low-grade silver weapon that absorbed monster blood and restored its wielder. Su Ming looked it over and remarked that it was a solid weapon, just right for his upcoming date. Yongding finally realized he had been outplayed. He could only watch as Su Ming casually explained that the sword carried a lifesteal effect, meaning he wouldn't need a healer at all. With that settled, Su Ming asked for the wagered money. Yongding hesitated, then paid up anyway. The receptionist examined the weapon and commented on how rare it was, mentioning that no one had pulled a decent sword from raw stones in years. Su Ming then asked her about scabbards and bought one using the 5,000 advent coins he had just won. His status window immediately notified him that the scabbard would slow weapon wear by 50%. It also asked whether he wanted to activate a hidden materialization function. Su Ming declined, saying he planned to raise the weapon's grade himself. On the way home, he checked his status window again and wondered why his sword god profession didn't come with any direct skills. Instead, the profession talent tree only showed sublimation of all things, a one-time ability that could upgrade any loot. After a brief pause, he decided to use it on his sword. The weapon changed instantly, gaining an additional effect called Bloodthirst. One ability allowed it to restore health after striking an enemy, while the other temporarily boosted his stats by 5 points for 30 seconds. After reading through the details, Su Ming activated the hidden weapon materialization feature and noted that he was now fully prepared for the next day's dungeon raid. Later that night, Su Ming went to the rooftop, where Ren was already waiting. She teased him for arriving late, but her expression shifted when he suddenly threw his sword toward her. It landed nearby, close enough to make her uneasy. She asked what was going on, clearly shaken. Su Ming said he had come to settle things. Ren looked confused and said she had asked him out because she thought he liked her. She claimed she couldn't understand why he was acting like this. Hearing her words, Su Ming remembered how she had first approached him after the awakening ceremony, how she showed concern, stayed close, and eventually started dating him. Those memories had once meant a lot to him. Now, knowing the truth, he told her directly that he was aware of her arrangement with Jiang and how they planned to use him. Ren tried to deny it, but Su Ming cut her off and called out her act. That was when she dropped the pretense, saying that without his talent, he wouldn't have even been worth her attention. She warned him that he would regret insulting her. Su Ming responded calmly, saying he could expose her connection with Jiang and ruin the image she worked so hard to maintain. Furious, Ren grabbed his sword and swung it at him. The weapon's bloodthirst effect activated on its own, leaving a slash across her face. Ren screamed, overwhelmed by both the pain and the damage to her appearance. Su Ming retrieved his sword and remarked that it suited her better this way, adding that this was where things ended between them. Ren shouted that Jiang would deal with him. Su Ming walked away, telling her that Jiang could try whenever he wanted. Before leaving, he added that the cut symbolized the end of whatever feelings he once had for her. Elsewhere, Principal Wang prepared students for the upcoming novice dungeon raid. He gave Su Ming a starter pack along with some money. Su Ming swallowed a marrow-strengthening pill from the package. He wondered if the principal had given it to him out of pity because of his sword controller profession. The taste was unpleasant, but the effect was immediate. He leveled up and gained a passive talent that allowed him to master all sword techniques without restriction. On his way to the dungeon venue, Su Ming planned to show everyone what he was capable of. Once he arrived, many students tried to recruit him, but he turned them down, saying he already had a team. Ji Yao overheard this and felt disappointed, since she had arrived early hoping to team up with him. Su Ming quietly told her not to join him, explaining that he was going after something risky and didn't want her involved. While they were talking, a man named Yanzi introduced himself as a level 9 demon hunting ranger and asked to team up. Su Ming recognized him from his past life and hesitated. Before he could respond, Yao stepped in and said she was already teamed up with Su Ming. She sent the others away and added that she could handle herself. Just before 7, Principal Wang addressed everyone through a live broadcast as the dungeon portal opened. He explained the rules, saying points would be earned by clearing challenges and that everything had to be completed within a day. As he encouraged teamwork, Yao suddenly noticed Su Ming was gone. When the event officially began, students started murmuring that someone had already entered the dungeon. Su Ming, meanwhile, was descending through the portal, feeling a sense of familiarity. In his previous life, he had rushed around collecting points. This time, his goal was different. He intended to face the dungeon's hardest challenge, the hidden ultimate boss. Inside, he noticed his spawn location was different from before, which explained why the terrain, routes, and monsters varied between challengers. He avoided an elite tree monster along the way, choosing not to waste time on minor threat. His focus was on the hidden boss. After checking the map, he picked the fastest route, knowing his early entry gave him an advantage. Around 7:30, Jiang Yuning and her group appeared elsewhere in the dungeon. The area felt unusually quiet. Suddenly, they saw a student being chased by a massive frenzied blood rat. Panic broke out. They scattered, but within moments, 3 of the 4 were taken down, including one with a 6-star rating. Outside the portal, concern spread quickly. If someone at that level couldn't last, the danger was clearly real. The announcer immediately urged the remaining students to form teams as fast as possible, warning that those already inside would need support. Meanwhile, Jiang Yuning, now the only one left from her team, kept running until she completely lost her sense of direction. Just as she tried to steady herself, she caught sight of a massive ape monster nearby. The creature sprang toward her with clear killing intent. Terrified, Yuning cried out for help. Before the ape could reach her, several sharp slashes cut across its body. Su Ming stepped in, intercepting the attack with ease. While others in the dungeon were struggling against monsters, Yuning felt a wave of regret for not staying hidden. Watching Su Ming deal with the ape so effortlessly, she assumed the fight was already over. Su Ming corrected her, telling her the ape was still alive and warning her to be cautious. He made it clear he wouldn't step in again if things went wrong. Yuning didn't hesitate. She ran off to look for reinforcements, which was exactly what Su Ming wanted: space to handle things alone. Activating his eye of insight, Su Ming quickly understood why the ape had survived his earlier attack. It wasn't a normal monster, but a mutated ape king. That explained its resilience. The creature charged at him again, moving far faster than expected. Su Ming dodged smoothly, then decided to match it in speed. He activated Divine Shadow Step, a skill from his previous life. In an instant, he closed the distance. As the ape tried to counter, Su Ming slipped behind it, landing controlled strikes to draw its attention. When it turned and leapt again, Su Ming decided it wasn't worth dragging things out. One clean strike ended the fight. The system immediately rewarded him with a linear slash scroll, a low-tier bronze skill. Su Ming considered it ideal for a novice dungeon. Right after that, he was awarded first blood for being the first challenger to defeat a monster. Moments later, every participant received a system notice announcing that a sword controller had made the kill. Some students from Su Ming's academy suspected it was him, while others brushed it off, pointing out that sword controllers from other academies were also participating. As part of the announcement, everyone received a healing potion. Hearing his achievement broadcasted, Su Ming noted that he needed to be more careful and activated his concealment skill to stay under the radar. Moving deeper into the forest, Su Ming spotted a pack of monster wolves and decided they were perfect for testing his new skill. He activated II/, focused his mind, and drew his sword in one smooth motion. A flying arc of energy shot forward, cutting through the wolves before they could react. One after another, they fell as experience points poured into his system window. He continued clearing monsters efficiently, pushing his total experience to 8,000. At exactly 9:30 a.m., Su Ming reached level 9. The system notified him that he had earned the title Legend of the Hungry Wolf. He calmly reviewed the notifications and acknowledged how effective the skill was, especially when combined with his sword's scabbard, which released stored energy the moment the blade was drawn. Curious, he decided to push it further. Channeling the stored energy, he released a crescent-shaped slash toward another group of wolves. This time, something unexpected happened. A massive level 10 Wolf King emerged from the forest and deflected the attack with ease. Elsewhere, around 8:30 a.m., other rookies finally began entering the dungeon in teams. One group encountered a mutated field mouse and fought it with everything they had. The battle was chaotic and there were losses, but they eventually brought the monster down. Excited, they celebrated the experience points and the defeat of a special monster. Riding that momentum, they told themselves they couldn't lag behind the person who had drawn first blood and sent them healing potions earlier. Almost immediately, the system sent out another announcement. Someone had claimed first blood on a leader class monster. Even more surprising, it was a level 9 fisherman who earned the title Leader of Leaders. Unease spread through the group as they began to rethink how dangerous certain professions could be. 10 minutes earlier, Su Ming had been steadily wearing down the Wolf King. From his point of view, the monster wasn't particularly impressive. After a final decisive strike, it collapsed. Su Ming remarked that it was no match for someone who had lived through this once already. The system congratulated him for defeating the Silverback Wolf King. He received 500 experience points, advanced to level 10, and saw multiple skill proficiencies increase. Additional loot appeared in his inventory as well. Meanwhile, other rookies finally managed to deal with their own enemies. Yongding realized just how much effort it took to handle even a basic pack of hungry wolves. Thankfully, a dungeon title reward, a scroll that boosted attack, arrived at the right moment and helped them survive. Thinking about how a level 9 fisherman handled things so easily, Yongding grew increasingly irritated, muttering that the dungeon was making a fool of them. Not long after, he tossed aside his worn-out novice machete, complaining about how much money he had wasted when he could have bought a better weapon. His lackey tried to praise Su Ming's luck, but Yongding snapped at him and vented his frustration, blaming his slow progress on the dead weight in his team. He muttered that if he ran into Su Ming inside the dungeon, he'd settle things then. Eventually, they went back to grinding experience. Elsewhere, after reaching level 10, Su Ming triggered his primary profession advancement task. The system informed him that the task would be assigned randomly based on his current situation. Rather than feeling uneasy, Su Ming felt relieved. In his previous life, he had left the novice dungeon too early, causing his task to scale to an E-rank dungeon. He hadn't been able to complete it until much later, which reduced the rewards. This time, things were different. The system assigned him a task to defeat the Guardian of Red Rock Cave, an elite monster. Seeing that the location was still within the novice dungeon, Su Ming relaxed. The task felt well within reach. With a confident smile, he invested his accumulated points into agility. When the stat surpassed 100, the system congratulated him again and granted him a sword god profession skill called Sword Martial Mastery. It was a passive, low-grade platinum skill that allowed him to equip any sword-type weapon without level restrictions. Back at First Academy in Xuan City, a board member reported to Principal Wang about the compiled rookie dungeon data, highlighting standout talent. Principal Wang scanned the list and asked if any information was missing, noting that Su Ming's name wasn't there. The board member assured him the data was complete and then pointed out the anonymous challenger who had drawn first blood. Based on timing, she suggested it was most likely Su Ming. Principal Wang paused, thinking about Su Ming's seemingly average performance and questioning his own judgment for giving him a novice gift pack when he wasn't even ranked in the top 500. Before he could dwell on it further, the meeting room doors opened abruptly. Xuanjing City's vice mayor, Randling, walked in and demanded answers. She reminded Principal Wang that he had informed her about Su Ming's 10-star awakening, yet the dungeon data showed no trace of him. Principal Wang tried to explain, advising her to lower expectations since early combat strength was often lacking for that profession. Randling dismissed his explanation, accusing him of exaggerating Su Ming's talent to secure more Heavenly Tower Council qualification tokens. She then pointed to Yan's, a 9-star talent currently ranked second, as the best candidate to compete with the neighboring city's genius, Lin Guang. She also mentioned the Zhang family's legitimate son, Zhang Tong, who had 8-star talent and a hidden profession. After her assessment, she decided to allocate only 2 qualification tokens instead of the usual 3, citing the Academy's poor performance over the past 2 years. She warned that things would be worse next year if results didn't improve, then left without waiting for a response. After she was gone, Principal Wang stared at the tokens, disappointed. Instead of gaining an extra slot because of Su Ming's talent, the Academy had lost one. Still, he quietly placed his hopes on Su Ming, waiting for better news from the dungeon. Meanwhile, outside Red Rock Cave, Su Ming studied the map and confirmed he had arrived at the location tied to his task. The trip itself had gone smoothly, with no troublesome monsters along the way. Still, he felt cautious. This was a place he had never explored in his previous life, so whatever waited inside was a complete unknown. He stepped into the cave carefully. Without warning, a level 6 gold-digging goblin rushed out. Su Ming reacted instantly and dealt with it before it could alert the rest of the cave. That relief didn't last long. The system immediately notified him that goblin cave awareness had been triggered. Almost at once, large numbers of goblins began appearing, making it clear that this first profession task was far from simple. The system followed up with another message, explaining that every goblin in the cave would now attack him aggressively. Su Ming didn't waste time thinking about it. He moved through the horde, cutting them down efficiently, but the sheer volume of enemies started to add pressure. He noticed his weapon durability dropping faster than expected. As he repositioned, a large goblin tried to strike from behind. He avoided it, only to be met with coordinated arrow attacks from smaller goblins. Even with careful defense, a few arrows still struck him, confirming that these goblins were far smarter than normal. His health steadily declined, and after checking his mana, Su Ming realized it wouldn't support a long, drawn-out fight. Facing a swarm backed by an elite goblin, he adjusted his approach. Instead of forcing his way through, he pulled back and disappeared into the shadows, setting up the battlefield on his own terms. Inside the depths of Red Rock Cave, the goblins walked straight into his ambushes. One by one, they fell to clean, controlled strikes. After clearing the smaller goblins, Su Ming assessed the situation and concluded that as long as he controlled positioning and terrain, he could fully bring out the strengths of his Aido-style techniques. Before long, only the elite goblin remained standing. Outside the cave, several rookie challengers lingered near the entrance, hesitant to go in due to the difficulty. Among them were Yongding and his follower, the same pair who had lost a sword bet to Su Ming earlier. They argued quietly about whether Su Ming, or anyone else at their level, would dare enter a cave where monsters were level 7 and above. Their conversation stopped when someone exited the cave. It was Su Ming. Now level 11, he casually checked his system notifications while giving off a calm, confident presence. That confidence irritated Yongding, who rushed in from behind and tried to strike him. Su Ming stepped aside with ease, and the attack missed completely. Frustrated, Yongding ordered his lackey to block Su Ming's escape. Su Ming had no intention of leaving. As Yongding rambled about old grudges, it became clear that Su Ming barely remembered the incident that mattered so much to him. Angered by Su Ming's indifference, Yongding ordered his men to attack. Su Ming saw the moment as a perfect test. With a thought, he summoned his sword and activated sword control. The blade moved through the air under his command, pushing back his opponents with precise movements. The attackers immediately realized something was off. Sword control was usually something mid-stage sword controllers could use, not rookies. What they didn't know was that Su Ming had obtained the skill from the elite goblin and upgraded it from silver to gold using his talent. Feeling how naturally the skill responded to him, Su Ming briefly considered how fast news of this would spread. Afterward, he reviewed the rewards from clearing the cave and discovered a hidden location map. The map showed a path connecting the first profession change to the final stage, sparking his interest. As he studied it further, a new quest related to Red Rock Cave appeared, referencing goblin trade and their way of life. Elsewhere, at exactly 11:30 a.m., an all-girls rookie team efficiently cleared a group of low-level monsters. They celebrated loudly, praising their coordination. One of them thanked Fenfenzi, a 7-star awakened talent, for carrying the team. As the others examined the loot, Fenfenzi looked around and realized someone was missing. A sense of unease set in as they tried to figure out what had happened. Goblins were known to live in dark, damp environments like caves and underground tunnels, avoiding sunlight and making ambushes easy. They lived in groups, usually led by a chieftain or elder who oversaw warriors, hunters, craftsmen, and priests. Their rapid reproduction helped sustain their numbers, and Su Ming remembered learning that they sometimes targeted human women. Following the coordinates from the map, Su Ming arrived at what should have been the cave's location, only to find nothing there. He scanned the area with Eye of Insight and realized the entrance was hidden underground, concealed by thick smoke. Entering the cavern below, he soon spotted goblins moving around. He understood immediately that killing even one would alert the entire colony. Staying hidden, he searched the area for treasure. During his observation, he came across the body of a female student, confirming what he knew about goblin behavior. Soon after, he spotted Zhang Yuning, who appeared to have fallen into the same smoke trap. Unlike the other student, she was still conscious and desperately trying to keep the goblins away. Su Ming initially saw this as a chance to let her distract them while he took the treasure. As he turned to leave, he heard her shout that her sister was a vice director of the Zhang conglomerate, and that anyone who saved her would be rewarded. Realizing who she was connected to, Su Ming reconsidered. When the goblins charged again, Su Ming threw his sword into their midst and activated sword control. The blade released a powerful Aido slash, flooding the area with intense light. As creatures naturally repelled by light, the goblins scattered immediately. Since none were killed, the rest of the cave remained unaware. Yuning thanked Su Ming for saving her. He replied calmly that he had only passed by. When she tried to bring up rewards, he told her to focus on surviving and getting out of the cave first. As he moved to leave, she begged him not to abandon her. Su Ming answered firmly that she would only slow him down. Su Ming suddenly realized that the treasure was buried right beneath where they were standing. After digging it out, he decided to use his sublimation of all things talent on the chest itself. The silver tier chest was upgraded into a low-grade gold lottery chest. As the name suggested, this type of chest had a high chance of producing rare items, skill books, or equipment. When he opened it, 2 items appeared: a Shadow Flow equipment set and a platinum-grade Soul Healer skill scroll. The result wasn't what Su Ming had been expecting. After putting in extra effort, he had hoped for something far more rewarding. The Shadow Flow set looked useful, but the Soul Healer scroll stood out in an odd way since it didn't match his profession at all. Inqing spoke up, saying the scroll probably appeared because of her. She then introduced herself as a 7-star Soul Healer, which completely caught Su Ming off guard. Almost immediately, the system notified him that Inqing had joined his team. Elsewhere in the dungeon, Ji Yao stumbled across the bodies of fallen students. Before she could fully process what she was seeing, a student named Li noticed her and decided to target her next. She stayed alert and managed to create some distance, then concealed herself and tried to slip away. Unfortunately, she made a noise that gave her position away. Li rushed in with a heavy strike, but Yao narrowly avoided it and pulled back again. Li commented that he hadn't expected her to last this long and said maybe Xuanjing Academy wasn't completely hopeless after all. Yao asked why he was killing students from another city when his uniform clearly marked him as an outsider. Li explained that his level 10 first-class change task required him to kill 50 players. Instead of attacking his own peers, he chose what he considered an easier target. He added that her academy's reputation made them fair game. He attacked again, and Yao summoned skeletons to block him, but he cut through them with ease. Calling her weak, he pressed forward. Just as his attack was about to land, it was stopped. Yanzi appeared with his teammates and said they would protect her. Back near Red Rock Cave, Su Ming submitted the treasure fragments to the system and received confirmation that his primary class change task was complete. He was promoted to first class, and his sword strength, speed, and proficiency all increased significantly. Inqing used the Soul Healer scroll as well, unlocking advanced skills that made Su Ming pause. He concluded that her luck was unusually high. Considering what that level of luck could mean, Su Ming decided to clear the dungeon together with her. Inqing became excited and talked about how her sister had hired people to help her achieve the same goal, only for it to fail. Su Ming wasn't thrilled about the pairing, but her skills made it worthwhile. After forming the team, Su Ming received a message from Yao and chose to check on it. Meanwhile, on the battle route, Li showed that he hadn't been using his full strength. In seconds, he wiped out Yanzi's entire team and shut down Yanzi's long-range attacks with ease. From what Yanzi knew, Li was a 10-star awakened genius with a blade maniac profession. After defeating the others, Li walked toward Yanzi and Yao, complaining that he had only managed to kill 35 players so far. Yanzi commented that distance was his only chance, but that wasn't realistic right now. Yao added that she was completely out of mana and couldn't summon anything else. They both understood how bad the situation was. Li charged at Yanzi first, but Yao stepped in and blocked him, telling Yanzi to run while she held Li back. Li reacted angrily and tried to end it quickly, but his attack was stopped by a sword that appeared out of nowhere. Su Ming had arrived. Yao had warned him earlier, and instead of avoiding the area, he came straight to her. Seeing her again reminded him of the past, of how she had protected him before and paid the price for it. This time, he decided things would be different. Using sword control, Su Ming pulled his weapon back into his hand and clashed directly with Li. Li recognized him as the level 10 sword controller everyone was talking about, but didn't believe Su Ming should have the advantage. Watching from afar, Yanzi commented on how impressive Su Ming was and considered providing support. At that moment, both Yanzi and Yao felt healing magic wash over them. Inqing stepped out and introduced herself as Su Ming's teammate, leaving them stunned. Su Ming had claimed he was going solo, so seeing him with a partner stirred mixed feelings. As she continued healing them, Yanzi urged her to hurry so they could help Su Ming. Inqing calmly told him there was no need to rush, saying Su Ming was far stronger than they realized. During the exchange, Li questioned how a sword controller could move like a sword prodigy. After observing Su Ming's technique, he openly praised him and said his strength exceeded expectations. Still, Li declared that it was time to see who was truly stronger. Su Ming replied that he had heard of Li in his past life but never crossed paths with him. With that, he charged forward again, intent on testing whose blade was superior. Li launched a flying stab, which Su Ming blocked easily. Li revealed it was only bait, explaining that the attack locked opponents in place. He threw his second sword, but Su Ming countered by throwing his own and redirecting it midair with sword control. The blade shot toward Li at full speed. Li avoided the hit but was grazed. He picked up his weapon and rushed in again, only to miss repeatedly as Su Ming avoided every strike. Growing irritated, Li pressed harder, but Su Ming pulled his sword back under control, clearly toying with him. By then, Inqing had finished healing, and Yanzi and Yao rushed forward to help. When they arrived, they realized the fight was already over. As Su Ming turned to leave, Li forced himself up and used the last of his energy to unleash his strongest move, a rapid, wide-area blade attack made of countless slashes. The sudden shift caught Su Ming off guard. Yao tried to rush in, but Yanzi stopped her, saying she wouldn't make it. She struggled anyway, saying she didn't care what happened as long as Su Ming was saved. Su Ming responded calmly, telling her to listen to Yanzi and stay back.